Hi there, it's been quite a while since I've made a video, about 8 months, because for most of this year I haven't been feeling very well. A lot of it is to do with the radiotherapy that I've had to my brain. It makes you feel worse than the actual tumours do, but it keeps you alive, so I'm not complaining. So I'm going to continue with putting up Farlan's work and Nuala's work. Today I found some new songs of Farlan that obviously we had got down off the fuzz decks at some point and I'd forgotten all about. So I found one of my absolutely favourite songs of Farlan's, although they're all favourite songs of mine. This is a particular one I particularly like, and it's called Flutterbye Days, and he wrote it in the couple of years leading up to his death, and it's about somebody who is well, he wasn't dying in the traditional sense, in that, you know, he had an illness that we knew was going to cause his death. It wasn't like that. It was like he just knew the end was coming. He didn't actually bother to tell any of us. Although, looking back, I can say I'm glad I didn't know. But we could see afterwards, looking back, that he did know, and that's what a lot of the things that he did that were a bit sort of inexplicable at the time were explicable when you looked at it from the point of view of a man who knew he didn't have long left to live. One of the things that he had was he had his dream 2 years before he died. That, again, looking back, we can see that was telling him what was what the last couple of years of his life were going to be about. And one of the things that he had left to do in his life was he had one last big challenge to surmount, and it was a personal challenge, so I'm not going to tell you about that, but he took it on, and he won, if that's the appropriate term, but he did actually come to terms with something that he'd been fighting for a long time. And yeah, and this song, Flutterbye Days, it's about a man coming towards the end, and it's just very, very, it's a very lovely song. Yeah. My mind has gone completely blank. So it happens sometimes with the well, that's one of the other side effects of the radiotherapy, is that short-term memory loss. Occasionally my mind just kind of like disappears entirely, and there's nothing in it. But and that appears to be happening now. I can see, looking out the window, there's quite a nice view in the distance of the hills and the trees, and it's a very, very misty day, what we call in Scotland a dreich day, which is actually kind of my favourite kind. All of us' favourite kind of day. Yeah, anyway, beside the point. Back to Flutterby Days. There's a nice little section where he talks about, well, clearly he's talking about our son Sebastian, who was quite young at the time, and how Sebastian was helping him, you know, come to terms with the final years and so on. So yeah, it's very nice, very, Oh, I hate that word. I don't know why I use it. All of the words that you use to describe things that are great never seem quite appropriate or quite right. And it's no wonder people sometimes invent their own words for things. Because sometimes the English language isn't quite, doesn't give you quite enough, variety. Anyway, I think also I'm going to find I'm going to find some a picture or some drawings or something to show you to go along with the music, and I might read you some more of the WayWard Way. Would you like that? I can find a bit that's, if I can find a bit that's not too controversial, shall we say, put it that way. Did I tell you some of it was actually, some of the WayWard Way is, for such a strange book, for such a sort of hilarious book, it's also very, very quite a spiritual book. It's got a lot of it's got a character in it called the Old Arab, and he's the spiritual side of Farlan, and he's kind of like your typical. He's very funny, but that's the thing. It's very funny that the humour and the spirituality go hand in hand in the WayWard Way. The Old Arab is always like kind of one-upping Farlan. He's always one step ahead. So there's a lot of encounters between them that are very, 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 very entertaining. And also there's a lot of the stuff to do with the Old Arab is actually very moving, and that's another aspect of the book. Another character is the ghost of William Shakespeare. He, what Farlan calls, I don't know whether this is a real thing, reverse fading. I don't know whether you can reverse fade things, but in the WayWard Way, the ghost of William Shakespeare reverse fades into view when it's time for William to make an appearance. And just off the top of my head, there's one encounter between the Farley character and William Shakespeare, in which Farlan tells Shakespeare that he's had a dream about him, and William Shakespeare is desperately curious to know the contents of this dream, and and there's a kind of lot of teasing and things that went on, and in the end, William Shakespeare offers to share Queen Elizabeth I's bedroom secrets to Farlan if Farlan will share him the contents, tell him the contents of his dream, but Farlan's not interested. So we never actually find out the contents of the dream, I don't think. I don't. Come to think of it, you might. I don't know. Can't remember. I don't think he does. Anyway, but that's one of the nice little sort of encounters in the dream. And I can't remember if Shakespeare. There's quite a way into the book. There's a bunch of characters: Farlan, Sybil, Harlane the Magnificent, bit of a superhero, Terry and Max, and I can't remember if Shakespeare goes along with them, but they do this thing where they have to traverse the plain of dust and ashes, either on route to meet old Father Time. They're on a search for old Father Time, and so they go over the plain of dust and ashes, and they meet a lot of the religious the big religious leaders on route across the plain of dust and ashes, and it's quite irreverent, doesn't quite cover it. It's funny, very, very funny. But if you are a bit attached to the what's the word that I'm looking for, the conventional representations of your religious figures, you might have a bit of a problem with it. But anyway, that's kind of entertaining. So I do believe that I have, I'm hoping to put up some regular videos. I'm hoping to do, maybe one a week, maybe 2 a week. But we'll have to see how we go. So we'll leave it there for now. And I hope you enjoy Flutterbye Days. See you soon. Bye.
Flutterbye Days, butterfly days, that are gone. Well, there was my song. Listen, I'm singing it now. I'm singing a Flutterbye Days, a butterfly days. Dreams of faraway islands make him be wild and restless, make him be long for them Flutterbye Days, them butterfly days. See me now, see how my parting glance does shadowless, the shadow, your idle shadow. But there's no need for you to leave me alone, 'cause I'm already gone. Yes, I'm on my way home, carried along on them Flutterbye Days and butterfly days. Yes, I'm on my way home. Memories and dreams, and well, they're all as real as they seem. Yes, they're as real as they seem. They're as real as they seem. And me, I am the king of the other thing. I'm the king of the other thing. The other thing, carried along on them Flutterbye Days and butterfly days. Yes, I'm on my way home. and listen. I'm singing a Flutterbye song, a butterfly song. Yeah, I'm on my way home. I'm on my way home. I'm on my way home.
I've just about got enough daylight left to do this reading for you before it gets too dark. I have actually managed to find a bit of the WayWard Way that coincidentally includes the ghost of William Shakespeare and the old Arab, which are the two characters I was talking about earlier on. It was a bit miraculous that I managed to find it, because the book, Farlan's book, The WayWard Way, is in a serious state of disarray, you know. Pages all out of sequence, folders double numbered with different numbers, so it's all very chaotic. I could do with a secretary. Anyway, this bit is, well, allegedly, it's book 3, which it might be or might not be, and the chapter is called King of the Other Thing and a Pivot to Boot. So, having Will around 24 hours a day, 12 hours visible and 12 hours invisible, won't, as anyone that's had a resident ghost will tell you, a laugh a minute. Of course, Will was a lovely guy, sweet, considerate, I mean everything you could wish for in a ghost. But the trouble was, you couldn't get away from him. Got me nerves, he did. Even when he weren't visible, you'd suddenly hear this nervous little cough, and I don't want to be no trouble cough, or a loud theatrical, "Ah, Christ, am I bored?" yawn. Still, all in all, he wasn't a bad guy, just always there, see? One day, I thought I'd have yet another go at finding myself as an artist. Got a small bit of hardboard, 5 foot by 6, set it up on my easel. Another self-portrait, I thought. Got quite absorbed, I did. Started to think I was getting somewhere at last. It was during Will's 12-hour invisible shift. I forgot all about him. It got really interesting, my work did. I decided an elongated Modigliani El Greco type distortion had helped to express some of my spiritual qualities, bit of the spiritual anguish that others didn't see but I knew was there in me poor, sad artist soul. I painted my face from top to bottom of my board, no room for my neck or shoulders, missed off a bit of the top of my head and all. It didn't matter. All the power of the expression was going on in the eyes, the nose and the lips. I used mostly blues, well, all blues actually, Prussian blue, ultramarine, turquoise, sky blue, oh, the lot, plus a lot of black for the outlines. Well, it was looking good. Now, I thought, maybe an angst-ridden shadow here under the nose. I raised me brush. The nervous cough. I tensed up, waited a moment for the blind, mad rage to subside, and breathed deep, and I smiled. "Ah, Will, old chap," I said. "Fancy meeting you here." "Been here all the time," said Will, reverse fading into view. "Bit of shadow there, I reckon, Farley, old son." He pointed to just under the nose. There, he said impatiently. "Needs a bit of shadow. Prussian blue mixed with black ought to do it." "Really?" I said heavily. "Oh yes," said Will. "Give it a bit of angst if you can, Farley, old son. Well, try, anyway." "What do you fucking mean, try anyway?" Will shrank back nervously. "No need to shout, old son. Only trying to help." "I don't need no fucking help," I screamed. "Double negative that, old son," he said primly. "Means you do need help, see? I don't need no fucking help means you do need help. See? Bit like algebra." "Shut up or I'll kill you, you smart-ass bastard." Will tittered. "Can't kill me," he said. "I'm already dead, see?" And laughed. I sat down. Well, slumped, really. I laid me brush to one side. Me anger subsided. "Sorry, Will. Don't know why I got cross. Frustration, I expect. You know, trying to find myself as an artist, bit of a struggle. There, Farley, old son. I do see. Oh, yeah. Course, in my day, artists weren't rated. Well, Holbein was well thought of, but in general, artists was like craftsmen, carpenters, bookbinders, candle makers, you know. Now, this notion of the artist as a genius, blessed by the gods with special gifts, fire of the gods and that, after my time, that. I've been reading up on art, you know. Very interesting it is. Is it? I said dully, looking at him hopelessly. Then he gave a flash of his charming smile, a touch of the rogue in it. Of course I succumbed. I grinned at him. Christ, he was a charming bastard when he wanted to be. So, old son, I says, genned up, hey, on art. Where'd you get to? Jackson Pollock, said Will happily. Action painting. What do you reckon to him, hey? Will tittered. Nah, don't be silly, Farley. We both know it's crap. Let's talk about real art, real artists. Then he gave me his charming, maybe a wee bit sly and all, smile. Let's talk about your painting here, he said, waving at my blue self-portrait. OK, I said lightly, but inside I was excited. After all, Will was an acknowledged genius. By all accounts, a great artist himself. So, what do you think of my efforts? He said, clearly a self-portrait. Ha, I said, pleased. You can see that, hey? Well, no, he said, reluctantly. It's only I've been watching you, and you keep looking in the mirror, so I kind of deduced. Self-portrait. Oh, I said. Now, he continued, the Modigliani El Greco allegations are very interesting, suggesting, as they do, a kind of spiritual dimension. And the generous way you've absorbed the pathos of Picasso's Blue Period shows you aren't afraid to submit yourself to the influence of the powerful Spaniard. Yeah, I said wearily. But, said Will, I feel you're slightly misled artistically here, in choosing for your affinities these tragic, deep guys, Picasso, Modigliani and El Greco. All deep, you know. I think you'd do better being true to your own self. Really? I said, wondering what the fuck a hack writer imagined he could possibly know about the inner torments of a visual genius like myself. Fact is, Farley, old son, you ain't an angst-ridden soul, you ain't a Van Gogh, nor even a Munch. You're more of kind of, well, English medieval illuminated manuscripts, Persian miniatures kind of soul. You know, delightful decorative stuff. That's where you ought to be heading. Gauguin, without the syphilis. Paradise, see? Light, happy. That's where you ought to be going. Soon find yourself there. Oh, yeah. Ah, Jesus, was I mad. You ignorant poetical hack, you mindless... I stopped. Illuminated manuscripts. Persian manuscripts. Gauguin without the clap. That's right, old son. Decorative bliss, see? I said, yeah, you know, Will, I do love them illuminated manuscripts and Persian miniatures. And Gauguin. Yeah, I love all that. There you go, then, old son, said Will, smiling. To thine own self be true, Farley boy. Right, I said happily. You know, Will, I think you could be right. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of it myself. Of course, of course. I was very pleased with Will, giving me a new direction he had. Sybil looked at me growing pile of miniature-type illuminated manuscript-type work with great approval. Yes, she said, it's you, Farley, old son, real king of the other thingish. Then she looked deep and serious. Magical things'll happen now, you'll see. I can feel it, me lovely pivot. Oh yes, something's on the move, something magical. Will gazed at Sybil with unconcealed admiration. Amazing, he said. Your Sybil's amazing, hey? The things she can see, primitive, that is. Deep in the feelings, feels life moving, she does, cosmic. I'd decided to give Will a treat, 'cause he'd helped me with me painting, so I took him to the Birmingham Art Gallery. Thought he'd like to see Ophelia, you know, that sick old pre-Raph painting by what's-his-name. Will sniggered a bit when he saw Ophelia, and said Ophelia was a sickle meant to amuse people, said she was yucky. She, the artist, had got it just right. A great painting of a yucky sickle, he said, with great satisfaction. Will had strong views on all the art we looked at, and so the outing was a great success. Of course, I got a few funny looks, 'cause no one else could see Will, people thinking I was a nutter, talking to myself. I entered the attic. I had seen from the street that me candles was lit, so I expected to see me Sybil sitting by the fire sipping tea or staring inspired into the flames. But no Sybil. Sat in me Sybil's chair was a small girl who was about 20 years old, with black curly hair, rosy cheeks, big black eyes, shiny white teeth. She grinned up at me. "Hey," she said, "you Farley?" "Yeah," I said. "Who are you and what you doing sitting in me Sybil's chair?" She grinned. Her brilliant teeth caught the firelight and flashed like neon lights, they did. "Hey, shut your mouth. You'll give me a migraine. Tell us who you are." "What, with me mouth shut?" She neoned at me again. I slumped in my chair opposite to her. "Where's me Sybil, hey?" "Gone out with your mum to the cinema. A movie they both wanted to see." "Right," I said, remembering. "That's right. They did want to see a film. Now, who are you?" "Matilda," she said, leaning forward in Sybil's chair to stretch out her hand for me to shake, and giving me a good view of her cleavage. I gave her cleavage a good look and shook her hand. "I'm your cousin from America," she said. "You ain't got an American accent," I said suspiciously. She flashed her neons at me again. "I don't do accents," she said. "Well, you don't need to do accents to speak like an American," I said, "if you come from America." "Well, that's good," she said with satisfaction, "'cause I don't do accents." I gave up on that and stared at her. She was wearing a thin white blouse and a long maroon skirt. Great figure, I thought. Wonder if it's legal to shag your cousin. She waved her arm around the room. "Love all this stuff. Paintings. Wonderful. Must be great to be so gifted." "Gifted?" I said, puzzled. "I ain't gifted. Everyone says I'm an idiot. No, I ain't gifted. But I did recently find myself as an artist. I could show you if you're interested." "I'm interested in everything," she said. "Show me." I opened the drawer in a low chest of drawers under the sloping attic ceiling, and pulled out a big deep box of my latest work, what I'd done since me chat with Will, since me conversion to small. I dragged the tea chest over to her chair to act as a table, and laid out me new work for her to see. Me suspicions of her had gone. Obviously, she was an open book kind of girl. I felt a bit interested in her body, wondered if she'd like to get it immortalised by a gifted artist, but didn't say nothing, only thought it. She pored over me work, practically caressed them, stroked them with her fingers, bit sensual that. Her hands were very beautiful, like a black person's hands, I noticed. Then it dawned on me that she was black. Well, not coal black, no, but a black person all right. In fact, her skin was quite pale. "Are you black?" I says. "Uh-huh," she says absently. "How'd I come to have a black cousin?" I said, mystified. She giggled. "Me dad was your mum's brother, me mum a jet black lady from the deep south. So, I'm half black, really, half white." "Wow," I said, "that makes you special." "Not in the States it don't," she said, not looking up, but still working her way intently through me miniatures. At last she laid them aside and sat back staring at me. She said, "You've got great gifts, all right. Who put you on to miniatures? Really brings out your particular style." "Yeah, better than these big things. Still, they're brilliant and all, but these, stunning, really stunning." I felt myself blush. People generally don't say nice things about me work. Well, except Sybil does, but she don't count 'cause she's me Sybil. I was warming to Matilda. Actually, I was getting hot to Matilda. In fact, I wanted to see a lot more of Matilda. "Tell you what, you old cousin-y thing, whip off your clothes and I'll dash off a bit of a masterpiece for you." She looked momentarily startled, then she roared with laughter. Great laugh. I thought. That's the black half laughing, that is. Lovely black woman's laugh. So I says, what you doing here in Birmingham? Come to see me dad's people, she said. You know, me roots. Right, I said, roots. Good idea that. I'm all in favour of roots. She laughed some more. Your mum said I can stay as long as I like. Great, I said. Me and Sybil will show you round. There was a nervous cough. Matilda's eyes grew large and frightened. What's that? She whispered, grabbing me hand. Her hand was dry and cool. I smiled. Oh, it's all right. It's only Will. Will reverse faded into full view. Jesus Christ, said Matilda, clutching me. It's a bloody real live ghost. No, it's only Will. No need to be frightened. Will smiled, his gentle, shy, nervous smile. Matilda smiled back, a shy, nervous smile of her own, and reached out to touch Will. Of course, her hand went through him. Hee, says Will, that tickles, that does. Matilda laughed, a white woman's laugh. Well, she said, tickled to meet you, old Will. Before long, we was all sitting around, relaxed and happy. They was talking about America. Will revealed that he had gone to America after he'd left the Angel and before he'd come to stay with me. So there they were, chatting away happily. I sat back in my chair, didn't bother to make sense of their words. I drifted off, drowsy, by the fire. A picture of Sybil floated into my mind, Sybil looking solemn and serious, saying, magical things will happen now, Farley. Things are on the move. I looked across at Matilda through half-closed lids. Alive, she looked, greedy for life. Magical, life moving deep, I thought. Primitive. And then I must have fallen asleep and dreamed. Well, maybe it was a dream, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was magic. I seemed to be in a forest clearing. Bright southern stars shone down, turning the grass and trees silver. A little way off sat a cloaked figure by a wood fire. The fire sent white smoke up into the deep, dark, blue night sky. It smelled sweet, like wood fresh from the living bough was burning. I walked over and sat down opposite the cloaked figure. His face was in deep shadow. His eyes glittered. He chuckled. Instantly I heard the chuckle. I knew who he was, me old Arab. He who laughs throughout all eternity. Ah, me old roguish Arab, hey, got a trick or two for me, have you? I said in a forced, cheerful voice. Truth is, I was nervous. This guy always brought me trouble. He spoke in a weird, chanting voice. I sit here beneath Mother Moon, my son, I... Wait a minute, I says. Look, there ain't no moon. You're a confused old Arab, aren't you? You sit here beneath the stars is all. He looked at me calmly, looked up at the moonless sky, sighed wearily and continued chanting. I sit here beneath Mother Moon. He waved his right hand up at the sky. A great big harvest moon appeared. Well, of course it bloody did. Should have kept me trap shut. Now, old son, he says, chuckling, and dropping his chant voice for his normal rogue's voice. Now life's a-moving, gone deep it has, magical forces at work, see? Got a trick or two, it's true. Got advice and all, he laughed. Here you are, look. In his outstretched palm, an autumn leaf burning gold in the cold, silvery light. Look, he said urgently. Look deep. I don't know why. The guy always pisses me off. Gets me into trouble, so I don't know why. But I looked. Deeper, he said gently. Look deeper. The veins in the leaf began to glow, almost as if I could see into the living atoms, moving like car lights along the motorways at night. No, not like, was. There were motor cars speeding along neon-lit roads, a complex network of roads. The autumn leaf had grown and turned into a city. All around me, speeding cars, flashing lights. Christ, I said, looks like a city. Neon lights flashing, theatres, cinemas, amusement arcades, shops, nightlife, eh? Coca-Cola adverts, strip joints. City life, what a riot. Now, said the old Arab. And I was back in the forest clearing by the crackling wood fire. The cool stars and the warm harvest moon suspended above me. The dark forest, full of sounds, Owls a hooting, wild animals crying out, the cold smell of the outdoors, of the forest, the grass and the wood fire. It was all so real, I said, amazed. Yes, says the Arab, so it should be, 'cause it is, you idiot. What's it mean, I asked. Suddenly my suspicions had returned. What's it mean, old Arab? He laughed, but didn't answer. Big surprise, that. Now, he says, one more trick for you, then I'm off home. Home, I said, surprised. Didn't think you had a home. Where's your home? Maybe I'll visit you sometime, I laughed. Bring me friends, bet you'd like that, hey? Home, he said, chuckling. Where's me home, Farley, old son, don't you know? I suddenly felt nervous again. No, I don't. Where is it? Where is it? He laughed. In your heart, old son, in your soul. It's where me home is, it's where I live. Oh, I said primly, I see, you're a lodger, or worse, a squatter. He tittered. Worse still, old son, worse still. I didn't want to know. I said firmly, show us your last trick and go home. I trailed off, 'cause I didn't want to say it. Go home, he said, in a quiet, gentle voice, almost a whisper. You want me to go home. His voice was gone wistful, full of unnameable sadness, sorrows and joys, deep, unsettling things like that. So soft and gentle and wistful his voice had become. I tried to shake off the feelings he'd hung on me. Home, he said, one last time. Wounded me it did, with its gentleness. Last trick, he said, abruptly, changing the mood. Almost, you might think, 'cause he could see I was near to tears, near to some inexplicable grief. Almost, you might think. He was being kind. Ah, but you'd only think that if you didn't know him. A hard man, that old Arab. A hard, hard man. What's your last trick, then? I said. Subdued I was by now, by me brush with gentleness. Only this, Farley, old son. He held out his right hand again. A pale feather rested in his palm, like a snowflake or a ghostly smile. Up, he said, and the feather floated upwards and turned into a beautiful pale lady. She danced and laughed like tinkering bells in the air above us. I watched entranced. The veils she wore were like the wispy clouds you sometimes see trailing themselves across the face of Mother Moon. The Arab chuckled, a deep, throaty chuckle, clapped his hands. The pale, beautiful dancing girl was gone. I just caught a glimpse of a white bird, a dove maybe, or even a swan. Just glimpsed as it flew off into the moon. Here you are, old son, said the old Arab. Have a fag. I don't smoke, I said, absent-mindedly. Yeah, you do, he said. Of course you do. Oh, yeah, I said, I do. I lit a cigarette from the fire. I forgot, I said, smiling at him, foolishly. You did, he said, and that's me advice to you, little old Farley. What is? I said, confused. Don't forget, he bellowed. Don't forget what? I bellowed back. Anything, he whispered softly. Don't forget anything. Remember who you are. His voice had gone so quiet and whispery I could hardly catch his words. Who am I? I whispered back. Who am I? But he was gone. The stars and the moon was gone. The forest and the little clearing was gone. Who am I shouted. Who am I? Matilda laughed. You're Farley, she said. Farley Hardy, me cousin. The door opened. Sybil came in. She looked bigger than usual. Then I realised it was because I'd been looking at Matilda, and she was quite small. Made Sybil look like a giantess, powerful, full of life, flushed and excited from her outing. Great film, she said. Your mum wants to see you, Farley. See you met Matilda. Hi, Will. Written any great sonnets lately? Sonnets, said Matilda hungrily. Is Will a writer? Was he famous? Light dawned in Matilda's bright dark eyes. Say, you ain't. No, you couldn't be. Will beamed and squirmed in happy embarrassment. Yes, he said blissfully. I'm William Shakespeare. Oh, wow, said Matilda. Oh, double wow. And did you really write all them plays, or was it Christopher Marlowe? Will's gentle, smooth brow darkened. Off to see me mum, I muttered and fled the room. I, William Shakespeare, I alone did write. I slammed the door behind me. Sybil could handle it, calm him down. She had a way with old Will Shakespeare.